This is Anna Patterson with the North Carolina Housing Coalition. Thanks for joining us this morning for our housing call. At this time, I will turn it over to our Director of Housing Policy, Stephanie Watkins-Cruz.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a great week so far. Let's go ahead and kick it off with organizational updates. As we've been mentioning for the past few weeks, nominations for the 2026 North Carolina Housing Coalition Awards are now open, and you can submit a nomination. You can nominate yourself, your organization, or a partner or ally of yours by September 18th. The link to that will be in the call notes. And then early bird registration for the 2026 North Carolina Affordable Housing Conference is now open, and you can still get this best rate by registering before the close of business on September 24th by 5 p.m. That's going to sneak up on you, so we're just going to keep reminding you. And then the conference itself will be held on October 22nd through the 23rd at the Raleigh Convention Center. Moving on to federal updates, the National Community Reinvestment Coalition is leading advocacy efforts to stop the rollback of the Community Reinvestment Act, CRA. The CRA, for context, is a federal law designed to encourage banks to invest in and serve the communities where they operate. It was passed in 1977 in an effort to address decades of lending discrimination in minority communities via redlining and other predatory practices. Recently, the proposed changes would actually decrease banks' community development requirements, which would in turn weaken investments in the low-income housing tax credit and several other really critical programs. In order to learn a bit more about what these rollbacks would mean for North Carolina, we're going to link the analysis that NCRC has created, as well as an interactive map, so you can understand a bit more about what these changes would do for our state. The National Housing Trust Fund state allocations have finally been released after a delay. Earlier this month, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, released the long-awaited state allocations for the National Housing Trust Fund that have actually been held up by the Trump administration without any explanation. So the 2026 North Carolina formula allocation is $5.63 million, which represents a modest increase from the 2025 allocation of $4.71 million. The National Housing Trust Fund dollars may be used for the production or preservation of affordable housing through acquisition, new construction, reconstruction, and/or the rehabilitation of non-luxury housing with suitable amenities. And then all of the units that have National Housing Trust Fund dollars will be required to have a minimum affordability period of 30 years. So we've linked several resources in the call notes for you to look into that release of funds, finally, for North Carolina. Last but not least, in federal updates, we're going to continue to urge you to reach out to your members of Congress to block the elimination of the disparate impact regulations. You will have the opportunity to submit public comment on this all the way until October 9th. But just for some background information, if you weren't able to tune in last week, on August 10th, HUD issued a supplemental notice of proposed rulemaking that would eliminate the agency's long-standing disparate impact regulations that implement Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin towards recipients of federal financial assistance, including federally assisted housing. So if disparate impact regulations were to be eliminated, housing policies that disproportionately harm protected groups would be even more difficult to prove in court. Public comments on this proposal are due by October 9th, 2026. And we encourage y'all to use the resource we'll link in the call notes, which is from the National Council of Nonprofits, and they have a tool that will help you email your members of Congress and urge them to block the implementation of this proposed rule. Moving on to state updates. Again, we're on a bit of a break on the General Assembly side, but earlier this month, Governor Stein signed Senate Bill 445, the Regulatory Reform Act of 2026, into law. This legislation is expected to boost housing supply by, one, allowing residential by right development in commercially zoned areas, of cities of 80,000 or greater and counties with a population of 1 million or greater. We were very excited to be one of the many groups pushing for allowing residential by right in commercially zoned areas, as well as areas zoned for business and light industrial. However, in the final version of this bill, this population threshold, we're asking for cities of 80,000 or greater and in counties with a population of 1 million or greater, essentially means that this part would only apply to Charlotte and Raleigh, and they already have this in effect. So that won't really boost anything for the state. And then the second piece that we are excited about is allowing accessory dwelling units by right in all areas zoned for detached single family residential use in cities where the population is greater than 50,000. So there's also a population threshold here, but it's much lower. And so this is going to affect many more communities than the first one. Last week, Governor Stein vetoed two bills, House Bill 958 and House Bill 377. The General Assembly has on their calendar that they'll briefly reconvene next week, but no votes are expected. Again, no substantive votes are expected until November. Other headlines we just want to lift up. Many folks have been talking about property tax exemptions around affordable housing and tightening up any regulations that have been misused in the past. So if you're interested in learning more about HB 1042 and how that is being proposed as a fix, we want you to check out a piece from the Indie Week titled "The $1 Million Industry Built Around North Carolina's Affordable Housing Tax Break" to show expose the ways that this exemption has been misused in the past. On the disaster recovery front, there are a few workshops coming up. Today, Renew NC will launch its sixth and final disaster recovery program, the Workforce Housing for Ownership program. This is a multifamily housing program that is designed to expand accessibility to safe and affordable housing in the HUD identified most impacted and distressed counties in Western North Carolina. Renew NC is also accepting application to its multifamily housing repair and reconstruction program. And while pre-screening isn't required to apply, it is strongly encouraged. So we recommend visiting commercerecovery.nc.gov to learn more. And there will be a webinar actually held tomorrow morning from 10 to 11:30 on August 26th, where they'll talk a bit more about this program and what's important for potential applicants. Following the August 26th webinar, Renew NC will actually host an in-person multifamily and workforce housing for ownership program series of workshops at the 5 Council of Government locations in Western North Carolina. So these workshops are also highly recommended for potential applicants and are going to provide an opportunity to ask specific questions and receive additional guidance following the virtual information center session. So the following events will be taking place at those different Council of Governments. The High Country Council of Governments, they will be having a session on September 8th at 1 p.m. The Southwest Commission on September 9th at 10 a.m. The Land of Sky Regional Council of Governments, September 9th at 3 p.m. The Foothills Commission, September 10th at 10 a.m. And Western Piedmont, September 10th at 3 p.m. There's also an opportunity to schedule a counseling session for homeowners that are late on their mortgage payments or are concerned about being able to afford continued mortgage payments. You can actually access free foreclosure prevention services. On Track is a private nonprofit, community-supported, and HUD-certified counseling agency offering free foreclosure prevention services to help Helene-impacted homeowners negotiate with their lenders. So lots of great disaster recovery resources in the call notes. Make sure you check those out when they are released. Moving on to local headlines, we have a lot of news, several communities and cities around the state approving investments and dollars for affordable housing development, for repairs, as well as other plans to kind of try and tackle the affordable housing need. And so we recommend that you check those out. There's a lot of work happening around the state. reports, events, and resources. Already lifted up a lot of the webinars that are happening on the disaster recovery side. There are also a few other webinars happening and events. I want to lift up one, how homeowners are reacting to rising property insurance costs. That's a report from the Urban Institute, as well as another report by the Urban Institute around how the proposed HUD work requirements could put residents in public and assisted housing at risk of housing instability. Another one that I would want to lift up for folks is being hosted by the North Carolina Center for Nonprofits on August 28th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Almost everything your nonprofit needs to know about the 2026 election. Highly recommend looking at joining this webinar and listening to the great folks there. And then another one we want to lift up is our friends at the City Builder are partnering with Yes in My Triangle for a free training, How to Speak at City Council, on September 10th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the McPherson Residence in Marriott and downtown Durham. So the link to register will be in the call notes for that as well. We have a lot of different reports and resources for you all, so highly recommend checking that out. Remember that you can always find the call notes by going on our website and looking at the podcast section, clicking on the latest date, and then the recording will be there and the call notes will be there, usually within a day or so or sooner of the actual housing call. As always, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any particular questions or you want us to talk about something in particular on the housing call. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time.